Welcome back to VL Speaks with You. This is Virna Lisa, that's me, and this is episode 4. Last week in episode 3, I started to focus on truthfulness and how that relates to you. So, why don't I recap that a little bit? I think it's worth addressing. Last week, I had touched upon how honest you are with yourself. Yeah, it starts with you, right? Because if you can't tell yourself the truth, you're probably not going to be able to tell the truth to anyone else or know the difference if someone's gaslighting you. So, did you take the time to reflect upon that? How honest are you with yourself? And what does that look like in your life? Did you take some time to say, oh, yeah, I'm pretty good with that, and here are some areas of improvement? Or did you say, maybe I'm not so honest with myself, especially about myself? So, empirically speaking, I have found that this is a very good exercise. Did you take some time to write things down? And if you notice that you do have a tendency to not be honest with yourself or deny your truth in order to make others happy, did you take some time to reflect upon that and perhaps ask someone around you, whether it's someone that you know is very honest, and ask them to deliver the message with kindness, or perhaps maybe a therapist or, you know, someone that you really trust that knows you and that you know will give you honest feedback? Just wondering if you had the time to do that and if you made the time to do that for yourself. It's definitely worth doing. And even if you can't tell everyone, and I believe, empirically speaking, that there are things that you should keep to yourself about yourself that no one needs to know. It's a mystery about yourself, but at least that you know at the end of the day that you can look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm being honest with myself and I'm going to address the things that I need to address and be forthright with those. And of course, there are things that you should definitely keep to yourself that no one needs to know. They're yours. So, quick recap on that. I said last week that this week I wanted to touch upon how you deal with others that are not being honest, or how you deliver your truth to other people. So let's start with that. How do you deliver the truth? Well, firstly, one, is it worth addressing? There may just be things about people that really annoy you and you feel like you need to bring it to their attention so that they'll stop annoying you. Is that a truth you need to necessarily deliver? I guess it depends on how much time you spend with this person. What I'm talking about is when you know that someone is gaslighting you and that it affects your well-being and how you deal with one another. Sometimes it's at work, sometimes it's at home, sometimes it's with a friend or your husband, partner, whatever it may be. I use husband because I'm a female, but whatever. Husband, wife, girlfriend, boyfriend, partner, whatever it is, a sibling. How do you deal with delivering this truth? It can be challenging, especially if you feel that you've been betrayed, or slighted. Slighted is on the very low end spectrum of harm. But if you feel betrayed, how do you address this? And you know that you're going to have to interact with this person again. You just can't walk away. If you can walk away from those situations, I would say, unless it's really going to make you feel better about yourself, what's the point? And then if it's all about you, then it's not about the relationship. Sometimes it is better to not say anything because that is the least harmful thing that can be done. Sometimes people are not ready to hear the truth about something. They're just not in that space. And that's up to you to figure out. That requires some level of discernment and wisdom to know when to just say, you know what, there's no point in doing this. It's just going to harm that person. It's going to make that person feel uncomfortable. And hopefully they'll come to terms with themselves, or there could be the option that you have to walk away from the situation because it's just not worth diving into. That's something that you need to gain. You need to figure out what the temperature is on that. And only you can determine that ultimately. You know what to do in the situation. But sometimes that is what happens, where it's just not worth it and it's going to cause more harm to say something than good. Now, if you're in the position where you feel like, I have to say something, you just have to say something because it's just not right. Okay. The delivery on that should be done with care and discretion, and also making sure that the intention behind the delivery is what matters the most, which is hopefully love and clarification and making peace. Because you being honest with yourself creates inner peace, right? You're not warring with yourself on things in life, but you're also going to be doing this with other people. So making sure that you deliver it, code it, like I said in the last episode, code it with some love instead of just blurting things out and not really taking the time to discern what is this going to do to you and to this other person and any other parties that are involved, right? There's a lot of different situations that you can find yourself in that you could say, okay, I'll use myself as an example. I found out that I had an account and someone else was trying to poach it and lied. And one of my fellow teammates let me know that this was happening. And he handled it very well because the account went to him and said, hey, I know you handed this over to Virna Lisa, but what do I do? And he CC'd me with an email letting me know that this person, and gave me the full name because the account gave him the information. He just wanted clarification, like what's going on here. And thankfully, the account was happy with me. My fellow teammate totally took my back and looped in our boss. So at first, my first feeling was, I can't believe this. I'm going to find out who that person is. And then I thought, no, why? The account is happy. My teammate gave them the information for clarification. Is there anything for me to do here? No, my work is done. So that's one situation that you can just go, psh. Next. Other situations, not so much. But how you deliver the truth is key. And sometimes you can do it gracefully and sometimes you don't, and hopefully you learn from it. But typically, when you take the time to step back, get the reading, read the room, read the situation, and then move forward with care and wisdom, things work out a little bit better. Most importantly, how are you after you delivered the truth? How do you feel about what you did? Do you feel good about it? Because if you feel kind of crummy, then maybe the delivery wasn't so great. And maybe selfishness was creeping in there while you were delivering this information. Only you would know that. And it takes honesty with yourself to know how you're handling it. And hey, humans making mistakes all the time and sometimes getting it right. The whole idea is that you create a healthier environment for yourself within your own mind and in the world around you. Now let's get a little bit personal. Let's get a little bit more into the inner circle of your life. That tight circle of people that you consider to be your friends or confidants. And there are varying levels of friendship, right? Some people are super, super close to you, and some people are out there on the outer edge of your life and their acquaintances. How you deal with people in your inner circle is usually a little bit different from how you deal with people in your outer circle sometimes, because there are some things that you share with people and some things you don't. Let's say that you are dealing with a person that is highly compartmentalized. And this is empirically speaking, experiential knowledge here. Let's say that you have someone in your life that is highly compartmentalized. Now, being compartmentalized in and of itself is fine, especially if you use it like I keep my work life separate from my personal life, and I don't let my personal life bleed into my business life. Nowadays, things kind of flow back and forth sometimes, especially if you get close to people at work. But in your inner sanctum, your inner circle, there is someone who is highly compartmentalized, which means that there is a likelihood that they may be, empirically speaking, uh, keeping you in a box all to yourself. Now, highly compartmentalized people do this. There's a lot of reasons why they do it, but it can get to a point where they don't want those worlds to come to each other because there are things that they are not sharing with those worlds. And people having their own business and a little mystery is great. But if you are the person that is being removed from everything else in a box, that doesn't give you a full view into that person's life, right? And that can create problems within yourself, right? Because you're wondering, wait a minute, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? Why aren't you being connected? Why is there this disconnect between your relationship with that person and their relationship with everyone else in their life? If you find yourself in that situation, more than likely, you're definitely being lied to. So what do you do in that situation? Empirically speaking, best to remove yourself from the situation. The attachment and letting go of that attachment can be a little painful at first, but in the long run, you will find that it's healthier for you. Because anyone that denies your presence in their life is lying. They don't have to share everything with you or with other people in their life. But if you feel like you are completely separate from everything else and you don't know anybody in their lives, that means that there's plenty that you don't know, or that you know too much and they don't want other people to know about. It could work either way. And it's kind of complex and it can get a little tricky, but it's important because when you are surrounded by people that are telling you half truths, it's very hard to know whether you can trust them. And then that starts to get you second guessing yourself. And that is not part of a healthy lifestyle. A healthy lifestyle is you being able to trust yourself and have confidence in yourself, not in an egotistical way, but in a way where it's because you know yourself. And ultimately, it is your job to know yourself better than anyone else. That's no one else's job but you. So, I know I packed a lot in. So, let's recap this. When you're delivering the truth, do your best to do it with love and some level of compassion and discernment. Okay? Just because you know something is true doesn't mean that you get to hurt people around you and, blast it to the world and, oh, oops, sorry. If you can avoid that, great. Secondly, if you find yourself in situations where you know that people are gaslighting you or hiding a lot from you or hiding you from the rest of their world, you probably want to take a step back. Does it mean that you have to completely remove them from your life? Not necessarily. But is it someone that you would want to consider a close and personal friend that, those people usually aren't there for you when you really need them either, empirically speaking. And also, there are times when it is best to keep your opinion, while it may be the truth, to yourself. You can process that in some other arena and let things be. Sometimes it's just better to let things be. And you're going to have to figure that out. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode. I know that it was a little different and a bit much, and going deep is a specialty, but I hope that it was helpful. And again, if you'd like to leave a comment or have a question, or if you have a topic that you'd like me to cover, I'd be happy to consider it. Please be sure to be respectful, and I hope you enjoy your weekend and take very good care of yourself. Be kind to yourself. Ciao.